Well, it's probably the afternoon. What's up, guys? I hope you guys are doing well today. I kind of wanted to... This one's probably going to be a little bit shorter today. I got stuff to do. It's already 1:40 in the afternoon because I didn't get back till 4 o'clock last night. But in any case, grief versus shame. I had this talked about. Somebody talked to me about this the other day, and gave me a completely new definition for the two. And so I kind of wanted to share it with you and just kind of give you a couple 2 or 3 minutes of thoughts on it. It'll be pretty short today. First of all, grief in this definition is a feeling of when I did something bad, I regret and am thereby repent from it, etc. You know, like you did the thing and you don't want to do the thing anymore, and you apologize for doing the thing, and you want to make amends for it, right? Shame, however, is completely different. Shame is the status of when you do something bad, you are that thing. Not, I did a thing that is bad, but you are that bad thing. And I think that's very, very applicable and apt for our society today, because I feel like we don't feel guilt for anything anymore. And not really, but like as a majority, the people I see struggling with issues are the people who are shamed by the things that they do, not the people who are guilty or feel guilt for the thing, you know? So this kind of translates into what you want to believe about yourself. Like, I know I was starting on this, but I feel like I need to just jump into this other thing. Parents need to teach their kids to be guilty for things, not shamed. If we're going to go there, right? Parents, you have an enormous responsibility. I'm not a parent yet, so I can say these things as a theoretical and what I've learned from my parents, but I can't really say it with any definitive, answer. But to my point, you need to be making, like, cultivating in your kids all of the tendencies that allowed them to be a strong individual. And one of those is not letting them be shamed for things that they shouldn't be shamed for. Like, I don't think you should feel shame ever. Like, because you never are the bad thing which you did, unless, I guess I'll have to say this, unless it becomes a character trait of yourself, right? So, for example, the only time I think you could be ashamed of or shamed into being a trait of, like, let's say you have an outburst of anger and then you're shamed and ashamed because you had that outburst of anger, is if that is a constant state of being in which it is part of your character, right? And that was a little bit of a circle, but I'm trying to make the point. If that fit of anger and rage comes out of a place of pain or anything else that is not associated with your character, you have no reason to be ashamed of it. You can have guilt of it, guilt from it, I guess, because it's not as if you took that anger and guilt and made it yourself. You, whatever else you are, were put in a position in which you were angry and rage and filled with rage, right? And I think this also kind of lends into, I'm going all over the place today. People today have so many issues with some form of identity, as in they want to label everything themselves, but nobody else can label them in some sense. And so I've gotten to the point where, like, I'm comfortable in all of my personal labels that I assign to myself. However, I'm not going to dismiss labels that other people give me if they fit, if the shoe fits. in some sense. Right? Like I'm a social butterfly, right? I know that as a result of like my social experiences with other people. I'm very social. I am extremely social. I am like an extrovert beyond anything else, right? But I'm not going to let that dictate who I am. Because if I feel like I need to be introverted and go and be an introvert, I'm going to go be an introvert with no guilt or shame whatsoever, right? So, you know, I'm like, hey, this is me, and therefore I am me, and nothing gets really to like pin me down in that and shame me into something that they think I should be. Right? Like nobody gets to tell you what you are except for your own action. In some sense. If I do X, Y, or Z like it, like as a part of character and being, as it's like it's a habit or more than that, I am thereby that thing. It doesn't matter what I think I am. Like for example, when I was with my ex, I was manipulative and controlling to an extent. I mean, and vary in those instances because I wanted. Anyway, it was out of a place of goodwill, but that doesn't matter because I was manipulating and controlling. It doesn't matter that in my head I was doing good. My identity was that of a person who was controlling and manipulative by virtue of the actions that I was living out. It doesn't matter if I thought I was a good person or I wasn't being those things. I was acting them out. So in that sense, I needed to be, and I was later on when like everything came to light and I was backhanded emotionally. No, you need to be ashamed of yourself because you became controlling and manipulative, and it was part of your character. Not I had to be guilty of those things because they were one-offs, if that makes sense. So all of these things just roll into all of it. So make sure that you're not putting shame upon yourself when it's not something that you are. Because if you are it, your actions will show that you are. I'm gonna jump on the church real quick because I'm a believer. Church. Don't tell me you're compassionate if every single time you see somebody who's homosexual or a trans person and you jump down their throat with slurs and anger and whatever else that you want to do that is like dehumanizing. Don't tell me you're compassionate if you're going to do that, because your actions absolutely say otherwise, etc. That's a good example. It makes me frustrated because I'm a part of the church and that's not what the church should be, but that's like a non sequitur at this point. I was just using it as an example, you know? And so if you are shamed because of it, change because of it. Don't let that shame fester. You don't have to like end everything because you're shamed. You can change who you are if it's a habit. It takes time, purposeful effort, and like a lot of introspection to change those things which become habit and part of character, because it takes a lot to change them because they were built over a decent period of time, even if it was unconsciously built. So be very, very careful and be patient with yourself, and don't let your shame take over that which you want to be and you're working towards. Because if you feel ashamed and you're trying to work towards the opposite of what you are ashamed about, don't let that shame overtake the growth that you're trying to have in that function. You know, be patient, but also get after it with all your heart, because you don't want to stay there. You don't want to stay ashamed because of the reality of who you are. And it's like, and sometimes it's not fun to be ashamed. And like when I'm talking about this, like don't guilt yourself if you're supposed to be ashamed, and don't be ashamed if you're supposed to guilt yourself. You understand what I'm saying there? So make sure that you're appropriately putting the two in its place and taking the necessary measures then to do what you need to do to fix the issues that have become systemic, if they're part of being ashamed. And if they're not, if it's a one-off, figure out why the one-off happened and prevent it from happening again if it's something that's bad. Also, quick thing as well. When you are emotional, don't think that you have to have it figured out. If you're grieving and ashamed, don't think you're going to make the right decisions all the time, because you're in that place. And that's all I have to say. Thank you. And have a great day, guys. I'm sorry that was a little... I say that and like I ended quickly, but I want you guys to get that through your head, because I think it solves so many issues that we have in our today's society of especially these mental health issues. Like, because you have mental health issues, you are not that thing. You struggle with that thing. You can be a little guilty that you mess up sometimes, but don't shame yourself into believing you are that thing. Anyway, that's it. Sorry about the little rant. Have a great day, guys.